Pop-up garage racer. I think you've all met our cool drum project, which we turned into a from rags to riches project. And even before the war, we installed a Sport M steering wheel on it. And today, we have a video about different steering wheels for the F30, F10, F15, F25, and so on. If you're interested in steering wheel installation, stay tuned. Those who watch regularly already know that we are in Ivano-Frankivsk. Here we have the drum of our manager Ilya, who is the head of our service. And that's why Sergey Baik and I came here to shoot a video about him. Before the war, as you know, we were tuning, chipping, braking, blowing up motors. And then the engine exploded and we thought, okay, let's do tuning for the exterior and upgrades, because it's not for nothing that we have the drum, because it had a poor configuration. And we decided to imagine how an ordinary owner of an F30, for example, who bought a budget F30, not in the top configuration, thinks, damn, there's a cool steering wheel, there's a cool M package, optics, seats, NBT, dashboard, and so on. And he thinks, damn, how do I install this? How much does it roughly cost? How is it done? And that's exactly why we're filming this project, from rags to riches, for the owners of BMW F30 and beyond. And we already have previous videos. One of them was about optics, all about the F30 optics. Here's the link, support it, it's a very interesting video. It got a good number of views. And then we did a video all about body kits. So this is about body kits for the F30, and we showed the M package, the M look. Well, I think many of you have watched it. Here's the link, you can check it out. As for the main exterior of our drum, we've done that. A spoiler was also ordered, and there was a lip as well. Well, we can show that in some later videos. It's not installed yet, the lip has already been removed. And then we moved on to the interior, because for some the F30 is aggressive on the outside. For others, what matters more is what's going on inside the car. How cool, bright, and aggressive it looks on the outside. But for some, maybe what's inside the cabin is more important. Where the driver, the owner, sits. He sees the interior, the cabin, and spends most of the time looking at it when he's in the car. So I think it's just as important as the car's exterior. That's why we did different upgrades and added some cool features to the interior of this car. I was thinking, where should we start? What's more important? Or what immediately stands out to the owner of a BMW F30 with a basic configuration? I think the most important thing for the owner, he walks into the car, sits down. So he sits down in the seat with his butt and immediately feels whether it's sporty or not, whether it's flat or not, and so on. Then he grabs the steering wheel. That's something his hands touch, something that's BMW. His eyes immediately see the windshield and the steering wheel. So, as you probably guessed from the video title, we're starting with the steering wheel, because I think it's one of the most important things for the BMW F30. If you put an F30 owner with the basic steering wheel behind the wheel, for example, the M Sport steering wheel, so when he sits in his car, he'll think, WTF, what's this? What's this steering wheel? What kind of cheap plastic is this? So let's go ahead and dive into this topic. We are lucky that in Ivano-Frankivsk we have an F30 with a basic steering wheel. So we don't have to show you photos, we can actually show the real difference between the basic and M Sport steering wheels. Take a look. Here's the basic steering wheel. By the way, this is the same as Sergey Baiko's, our operators. This is the basic one. This is what it looks like. It's thin. There's no contouring for the thumbs. There's no metallic insert like a metallic color. These are the basic steering wheels. They feel like plastic, well, like that. They're not actually plastic, but anyway, when compared to the M Sport, there's a big difference. In general, these basic steering wheels can differ depending on the car's configuration, so it might not always be the same. Take a look. Here on the left, we have the cruise control buttons. So this car has the cruise control option. There are basic configurations like those in Europe. I once drove in Montenegro. One day I rented, for example, a 2 Series. It was a 220 convertible and it had such a basic configuration. I hadn't seen anything like it before. It only had a speed limiter button, so you set the limiter and the car wouldn't accelerate beyond that. Well, it was something like that. Here, of course, there's cruise control management, there's multimedia control, calls, where to select the signal from, like radio, USB, and so on. Also, Sergey Beko is telling me that in his configuration for his 328, there's the same steering wheel, but it has heating. These steering wheels come with and without heating. The heating button is here, on the steering column. The basic steering wheel, of course, is almost useless for anyone. It's only of interest to owners with an American spec car after an accident with an airbag deployment. So, the basic steering wheel can only be considered if you want to take the airbag out of it and put your own in. But no one actually considers the basic steering wheel for a full upgrade. That's why it's worth almost nothing, maybe around $100. Well, this isn't an exact price, but that's around what you might find it for. Let's move on to another type of steering wheel. It's called a sport steering wheel. Unfortunately, we don't have a car here to show you what it is and how it looks, but we'll show it in a photo. The sport steering wheel is very similar to this one, but it differs with a thicker rim. There are cutouts for the thumbs, so it's more comfortable to hold and turn. It also has a metallic colored insert. And well, it's almost the same, but it's more sporty, more beautiful. The sport steering wheel is usually found in configurations with cruise control, without paddle shifters, and depending on the car, it may or may not have heating. So without paddle shifters, this is the most popular version. They can cost around $150, maybe even $200. Well, that's because there's an airbag inside. But if the car has the sport transmission option, then it comes with the sport selector and you get the paddle shifters. This would be a more stylish sport steering wheel with paddles. Well, it's also quite popular and can be considered for owners of an F30 with a basic steering wheel, because it's definitely better and you'll probably like it more. Plus, if it has the paddle shifters, it'll be more convenient for shifting for those who want to race and so on. And here we are moving on to our project Drum, from rags to riches. And here we present for your consideration the first provision. This is the M Sport steering wheel, so don't get confused. The intermediate version between the basic and this steering wheel is a sport steering wheel, and this is called the M Sport steering wheel option. It's the top option for the BMW F30, F10, F15, F25. Many people want this kind of steering wheel because you can just look at these details, the design of this steering wheel, and see how it looks from different angles. Well, the first thing is, of course, aesthetics. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, you can see that steering wheel when you're driving. It's cool. It's like a visual orgasm. Eyes going on. And plus, it's thicker. We got this steering wheel, and it might have been reupholstered, but it looks like it has new leather. Well, it's been used for about 6 months now, but the mileage is still low. There are cutouts for the thumbs, and it's very comfortable here. Plus, it comes with paddles. Well, I'd recommend it, but it depends on personal preference. With paddle shifters, it's cooler, but it costs more. Customers often ask how much such an M Sport steering wheel costs. Well, here we always ask, what's your configuration? Do you have paddle shifters? Do you need paddle shifters? Is heating needed? Any buttons? And do you need the vibration feature or not? Vibration is if you have, for example, lane assist, CAFAS, and so on. Like on my 2 Series, it vibrates when you drift out of the lane and so on. So it's very important to know your configuration because that helps estimate the price. Generally, the basic M Sport steering wheel, without paddle shifters, without heating, without vibration, it can cost around $300, $350, $400, $450. Well, dollars, euros, Anyway, roughly it can cost anywhere from $350 to $500. It's just a budget part. and it really depends on where and from whom, how much someone bought or sells it for. So it's all individual because it's not a new part from Germany. That's why I'm giving you this range. This is the most basic option. But often owners want paddle shifters. With paddle shifters, the same steering wheel will cost around $500 or more. By the way, on the F10, there are different steering wheels for the F10. So on the F10, the steering wheels are the same as on the F15. And on the F10, there are different steering wheels, fixed ones. So they're not interchangeable. Keep that in mind. And on the F10, they can be more expensive. People often look at our display in the service center on Berestейski. There's usually a sport steering wheel with different configurations, and customers look at it and say, oh cool, how much does it cost? And when they find out the price of the steering wheel with paddle shifters and heated and vibration, they're blown away. The price is around under $800, $900. It can vary. It might cost $700, $800, or $900. Well, it changes at different times. Right now, we're in the middle of a war, so prices may have gone up or down. It's unclear. Basically, whatever you find, that's how it is. I can't promise you any specific price. Specifically here, on our drum, the steering wheel had heating. And well, you understand, with paddle shifters, this is supposed to be an expensive steering wheel, almost in full configuration, without vibration. You can get it without vibration. They don't differ much. What really makes a difference is the heating. There are also M Sport steering wheels with additional buttons. You can see we have blanks installed here. If the car configuration includes adaptive cruise control, then there are buttons for that adaptive cruise control. It's like the cherry on top. The M-style steering wheel, it doesn't come as an option for the F30, but it can be installed. The M-style steering wheel, it's different. Instead of the adaptive cruise control buttons, it has M1 and M2 buttons. The paddles are thinner, more elegant and sleek. For example, if you wanted to install a steering wheel, as you've already understood, the price can range from $350 to $800, $900. When it comes to retrofitting, if you think it's just about removing, unscrewing a bolt, and putting a new one in, it's not that simple. If you had a basic steering wheel without heating or paddle shifters and want to install a Sport or M Sport steering wheel with paddle shifters, retrofitting is required. Wiring needs to be done, and that costs extra money. You need to understand that. If you want to install a heated steering wheel, you also need to retrofit the heating system. There's the button, the steering wheel clock spring block, and the wiring harness, all of which need to be replaced. That's additional retrofitting and will cost more. In the most common cases, clients don't worry about the heating. If there's no heating, they just add paddle shifters, and retrofitting them isn't too expensive. Or if they already have a regular sport steering wheel with paddle shifters, they just replace it with an M Sport wheel, and that's it. No retrofitting needed. In the case of this car, from rags to riches, we've almost covered everything about the F30 steering wheel. As for the nuances, if we keep it brief, there are similar M steering wheels. They look the same but have a different connector. And they are not interchangeable with the F30. Therefore, for the F30, F11, for the F01, F02 and the 7 series, they have their own steering wheels. They are sold less frequently and may cost more. Prices can vary slightly. It's almost the same story as with the F30. The base steering wheels on the F30 are different from the ones on the F30. You can check out the photos we're adding, showing how they're thicker. Some people like it, some don't. As for the F30 steering wheels, they are the most versatile. They fit perfectly on the 1, 2, 3, 4 series. We'll skip the 5 Series X3 and F15 X5. So the X3 and X5 cover almost everything. That's why the F30 steering wheels are the most popular. And that's where it's covered. And we forgot in the box behind Sergei Beko there's F30, we've rolled it out. And here there's no sports transmission and paddles, it turns out, but there is an M Sport steering wheel without paddles. It looks amazing on the outside, way better than the regular Sport or base wheel, but it's just missing the paddles. It has the same buttons, everything is the same. And by the way, there's no heating either. So that's how our cool video on upgrading our Baraban with a sports steering wheel turned out. I think it was interesting and useful for you. Who has any questions? Write in the comments. You can write us in Telegram. I will leave a link in the comments. And this will be the Telegram for our service in Kyiv on Beresteyski. We always try to have some steering wheels available there. Feel free to reach out, and we can find one that fits your configuration. F10, F30, F15. Glory to Ukraine, death to the enemies, and now we're off to work.